I've always loved card game animes, but let's be honest, they suck. I hope you understand I just now offended pretty much all of my subscribers saying that, so you know I'm not just saying it for nothing. But it's true, majority of card games animes will tend to lack something that would otherwise make the story extremely compelling or interesting. Sorry 80% of card game animes, but tournament arcs are not automatically interesting. That said, there are only two animes that come to my mind when I think of card game animes that have done it right. Those being Yu-Gi-Oh! And Cardfight Vanguard. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the most popular card game animes as of recording this, right next to MTG and Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh! Being the only three of them with an actual card game anime behind it. It had a strong fantasy element to it which drove the plot along and can be summed up to and as ancient cards brought to the modern era, followed by 7 special items that can bring said cards to life and raise the stakes of a duel to life or death. Okay, that's pretty badass, but it's not what the concept is that makes the story compelling. It's what they do with said concept that can make it compelling. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does what not a lot of other card animes do, and that is give a motivation to play the darn game. And I mean a reasonable one. So in the anime, Pegasus basically forces Yu-Gi-Oh! Into a duel via fighting his TV. Let that sink in. So, with no real choice but other than to accept, I mean, what else would you do? Yugi faces off with Pegasus and loses. Miserably, might I add. This causes Yugi's grandpa to lose his soul because that's what they betted on. Let that sink in. And with no other real choice in the matter, Yugi now has to fight in a tournament hosted by the sick fuck to get his grandpa's soul back. I mean, what else is he supposed to do? Call the police?
Hello, 911, what's your emergency? Oh God, please help! Please help me! The TV, Maximilian Pegasus, the ultra famous millionaire. He came on the TV and he took my grandpa's soul and I said to him to help, I don't know what to do. Hello?
Yeah, that's not gonna go over well. But this is what I mean. By using this fantasy element, Yu-Gi-Oh! Makes going to the tournament not needed, but is wanted by this dude, Pegasus. Cause he could've just taken the puzzle just from that one game instead of betting Grandpa's soul. No, he wants this tournament because he wants to face Yugi in his prime. At least that's my theory on the matter. Now compare this with another anime that just has a tournament where the main character wants to win just cuz. No stakes, no real reason to fight, he just wants to get stronger. Literally no other motivation, and the motivation actually comes later. Compare that to the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Does things, where they give you the motivation right out the gate. Yeah, which sounds more interesting to you? Well, I guess you can't say it's impossible to make it work. Because where Yu-Gi-Oh! Uses fantasy elements to make the story interesting, Vanguard uses the exact opposite element. That's right, I'm talking slice of life card anime, baby! Now let me start by asking what makes slice of life anime interesting? No, seriously. Is it because it's so relaxing to watch? Or maybe it breaks up the monotony of most shows where everything is just so intense and craziness? It's just nice to take a seat back and just breathe and just go with the flow along with the main character? I can't be sure, but if I had to guess, I think it's mostly because it lets us see a different perspective on life. Okay, imagine a world where card games were just a normal part of life, something you don't even think about. You wake up, you eat, you play Vanguard, and then you sleep. Just another part of your day. Cardfight Vanguard's world answers that question with a story about a kid who was weak, constantly bullied, and always was too shy to fight back. However, what if those bullies went too far, took something precious from him, a simple card that represents the memory of the first person who showed him genuine kindness, and hope in that he could become stronger and connect with other people? Would it finally push him to want to change his life for the better? What would that look like? Well, you either already know the answer for yourself, or I'm going to have to ask you to please go watch the anime yourself because it is really good, and no spoilers. It is really good what they do with it, and I will get into another video on it in the future. But for right now, no spoilers, especially if you haven't seen it. Go watch it. It doesn't matter if you're into the game or not. It is a nice story on its own. Anyway, it's a story that takes you on a journey of a kid who's growing up and becoming himself and learning how to deal with the problems in his life. Then it takes a fantastical turn, but not too fantastic. The point is, that slice of life feeling is perfect for a card game anime, and isn't done nearly as much as it should be. But the thing is, what if we combined these two genres? What if we combined fantasy element with slice of life. What would that anime look like? Dear audience, welcome to the world of Future Card Buddy Fight.
Look out your future card.
This is a story about Gao, an ordinary kid who's living in a world of monsters. No, seriously, that's what they're called. I have a theory about why they're called monsters specifically, but that's for another video. Anyway, the buddy monster of the show, Drum, is a monster from Dragon World with daddy issues who gets isekai'd into a human world via tough love. In hopes to learn what it means to be a real leader, the main mechanic in this games are buddy monsters that can be acquired via buddy rare cards, i.e. a lottery system. Again, I have so many theories as to why the world is the way it is, like with these monsters that come from other dimensions. I mean worlds, I mean monsters that come from other worlds, quote unquote, and that is the main way kids and adults find their buddy monsters. Some buddies are there temporarily, while others become buddies for life. Either way, the focus of the game is to grow alongside your buddy and become an unstoppable force together. I love this concept as a whole, and it leaves so much room for development in both the main character Gao and the buddy main character Gao is paired with.
Look out your future card.
While Gao's involvement is important to the story, it is almost like it's the buddy monster story rather than just Gao's. But at the same time, one is not overshadowed over the other. Gao is an optimist, stubborn and selfless. Drum is more of a realist, stubborn and prideful. Together, they make a perfect contrast to each other's characters. I mean, in their first fight, Drum literally tells Gao he should use him for defense when they were backed into a corner, and instead, Gao goes on the offense. In the story, Drum learns to put his pride aside, and Gao learns how to work with others better. As far as the gameplay goes, the card fights are fun to watch in my opinion. It's not just cards being placed on a table like in Vanguard, but it takes more of the Yu-Gi-Oh route of bringing the cards to life and fighting as if they were in a real battle, which sometimes they are. And I'm not talking in just tournaments, this is just part of their life. I mean, can you imagine a world like this?
Buddy police barrier.
What is that?
Where do you think you're going?
What the is that?
Impact guard.
What is that?
Guard get you up.
Huh?
Punisher!
Oh, sweet Jesus! Yeah, it would take a lot of getting used to, but I digress. As much as I praise this anime, it was by no means perfect. After Buddy Fight 100, its second season, we start to see a decline in consistency of the world building and more reliance on gimmicks, at least to what I remember. I don't know, I could be misremembering. I'm doing streams where I'm rewatching the anime, go follow. It all gets kind of fuzzy around Triple T. Maybe it's because they stopped dubbing it. But other than that, certain staples of the world, like Buddy skills, were seemingly erased after 100. Almost as if they never existed. They don't even give us a reason or a hint as to why. In its final season, they do away with even the core decks. Yet certain scenes were animated as if they were supposed to have core decks in them. Again, theory, saving it for another video, but anyway, I'm only scratching the surface here with this introduction video, but if I had to give Buddy Fight an overall rating, it would have to be around a 7 out of 10 for my personal rating. The world is interesting. I love the card game, even though it had its flaws, especially during the end of the era. And I wish it was talked about more, especially the first two seasons, which, if we're rating those alone instead of the show as a whole, I'm giving the first two seasons specifically a solid 8.5 out of 10 for consistency, world building, and interesting concepts. If you have never heard of Buddy Fight until now, I would highly suggest watching its first season at least. It's still up on YouTube and is free to watch, and if you have a friend or someone who's into anime but not really card games, I'd like you to try giving them this anime as a recommendation, and let me know what you guys think about it, because I feel like this show can appeal to a wider audience than it was pitched to. but I could be wrong, and that's where this comes into play. I plan on reviewing each series and even some of my personal theories in each series that I have if this video does well enough. And as much as I would love to really get into the deep meat of Buddy Fight as a world in general, I want to leave it to you guys to go watch the show for yourself if you have the time. And if this video does well enough, then I will absolutely do a series retrospect for each season, and we will go from there. So leave a like if you enjoyed and love Buddy Fight. Please subscribe for more card game anime content, and I will see you guys soon. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, bye.